Hey kids, it's Mr. Fly here, hope you're well. And welcome to another bike review here on the channel. Today I'm on a motorcycle that I haven't ridden since I think, well, about 5-6 years, something like that. Today I'm on the MT10 from Yamaha. It's been revised in 2022, I think for the 2023 model year. But I last rode the bike when it first came out, I think in about 2017. Back then I absolutely loved the bike. I had some doubts over the looks of the machine, but I grew to love it, and it was an absolutely thrilling ride, and I really liked that bike. And then I haven't ridden it since, so I kind of regret to say that, because it was definitely one of my favourite bikes at the time. So anyway, really happy to be back on an MT10. Loads of changes over that 5-year period. Stick around, stay tuned, I'll tell you all about it. Okay, so welcome back to the channel, welcome to Great Bissenden on this bright-ish but very damp and cold day. I'm actually recording this on December the 28th. It's that weird period between Christmas and New Year. And I've had this bike for just over a week, and I've got it for just another 3 or 4 days. Yamaha are coming to pick it up early next week. And during this Christmas period, when I've had the bike, it's just been raining every single day, so I've just not had a chance to ride the bike as much as I'd like. So this is my first ride on the new MT10. Thank you, madam. So sorry it's been a long wait. I know I'm due to be publishing this video in springtime, I think sort of middle of April-ish. So hopefully by the time you get to see this video, the weather will be much improved and you'll be enjoying your riding season, because at the moment it's around about 4 or 5 degrees centigrade here. I don't have heated grips on the MT10, and I'm wearing some fairly sort of summery gloves, so I'm sort of regretting that a little bit. But anyway, before we get into the how the new bike rides, let's take a look at her, see what she looks like. Alright folks, let's take a look at the new MT10 then, and let's start with what maybe is the elephant in the room, and that's the looks of the bike. Now I don't know about you, but do you find this an attractive bike? I'm not too sure. I think the changes they've made on the bike this time round aren't actually for the better. In particular, it's the front end that I'm not too keen on. This front end here, look, it used to look like Wally, you know, the Disney character. Now it's sort of gone a bit more rounded off, and I just don't think that looks very good. To me, that is not a good looking front end, which is a bit of a shame. But then, I did say that about the original bike when it came out in 2017. I didn't like the looks of that either, and then it grew on me. The next thing about this bike, the blue wheels. Again, the original bike came in a grey with yellow wheels, which I thought actually looked a really good scheme. I'm not so sure about the blue. I think I do like them, but I could be convinced either way. So the looks on the bike at the front end and the wheels, the paint scheme, not too sure about. But other than that, the rest of the bike is beautiful. I actually have grown to like this sort of grey paint scheme that you get on bikes these days. I think that looks nice, and it's nice that it's glossy and not matte as well. The rest of the bike, obviously based on the R1, so massive frame in there. But I think, you know, in general, the bike from the side looks good, I think. I do like these big air scoops on here. I assume they're functional, I don't actually know. And you've got these little gills here that let out some airbox noise as well, which is very, very nice, of which more later. The exhaust on here, I think I read somewhere, is actually titanium. I don't know if that just means the end can or what, but we'll talk about the sound of that a bit later in the review as well. Back end is quite neat, probably requires a tail tidy, but I do like the what they've done with the light here. What else to say about the looks? That's probably pretty much about it. I do like these front scoops. Don't like this front end, what they've done with the lights on there. It could be just me. Of course, it is just a matter of personal preference. It'd be really fascinating to see what you think of the looks in the comments below. Okay, so welcome back aboard the MT10. How does she ride then? Well, unfortunately, because it is such a greasy, wet, slippy, slidey day here today, I'm not going to be trying the MT10 to the limits of its envelope. Well, I wouldn't be doing that anyway. I'm just not that sort of rider. As you can see, there's a fair bit of traffic about actually on my favourite little test run circuit. But it's a pretty slippery old day. As you can see, lots of water on the road, lots of muck about, and it's a pretty slippery day. But it is at least a real world review in that sense. This is the sort of weather that if like me you're all year round rider, this is the sort of weather that you're going to be riding the MT10 in. So in that respect, it's a good review. Let's start with comfort on the bike, riding position, seat, that sort of thing. Well, in terms of riding position, very, very comfortable indeed. This is a 4-cylinder inline 4 bike, so the engine is necessarily quite wide. and that means it feels quite wide between your legs. Now, I know funny sort of sniggering at the back, but I actually quite like that feeling. This is my chance to maybe nip by at least one of these. And another. Wow, listen to this engine. Sounds epic. More of that in a moment. But absolutely no trouble overtaking other cars with this vehicle. It's got something like 164 brake horsepower. We'll go through the specs in a minute. But anyway, back to comfort. Riding position on it, I'm sat bolt upright. It's very, very comfortable. As I say, it's got that nice wide engine, which means that you can grip the tank with your legs nicely. And it's just a really nice place to be, helped by the smoothness of that 4-cylinder engine. My legs, as you can probably see hopefully on the 360 camera, are tucked up in quite a sporty position. This bike, after all, is based on the R1, so the sort of geometry of it, at least as far as your legs are concerned, is very similar to a sports bike, and it is a very comfortable place to be. The handlebars are nice and wide. Yeah, I like the riding position a lot. The seat on here is, I would say it's probably on the hard side. It's definitely not uncomfortable. There's a bit of room on it for me to move around, so I think if you're taller than me, you'd be okay. I'm only 5'8", relatively small, medium-sized fella, I guess. But if you're a bit taller, I think you'd be all right if you can put up with the tucked-up position. But the seat itself, as I say, feels a little bit hard. Let me show you the seat. Alright, so here is that seat we're talking about. As you can see, it's quite thin and it is lacking in padding, which would explain perhaps why it feels quite hard. It's a one-piece unit, 835mm. Even though that sounds quite tall, it is quite narrow-waisted, even though it's quite a wide bike, and I have no problem getting my feet on the deck. So the seat height isn't a problem for me. It's a one-piece unit, as I say. The only thing I would say about it is it does rattle about a bit. I've tried to secure this more in here. It might just be this particular bike, or it's not seated properly, but I can't get that seat to seat properly, if you see what I mean. So that's a little bit annoying, but that's probably just the fitting on this bike, so I wouldn't let that put you off. I'm sure that's not a thing on it. But anyway, yeah, that's what the seat looks like. It's got this nice Alcantara padding, and it's not actually as uncomfortable as it looks, but it is on the hard side, as I say. All right, next thing you notice when you jump on the bike after the comfort is what are the things that you're looking at. Well, now for the new MT10, we've got this all-colour TFT. I think that was only on the SP version before. And it looks really nice. I quite like the Yamaha TFTs, I must say. Let's go down this road here because it's got particularly bumpy surface, so it's always good just to try the suspension out. My goodness me, it's horrible up here. Actually, the suspension is nice and smooth. We'll take a look at that in a second. But yeah, the TFT, oh man, on a KTM there, nice. The TFT on here, like I say, nice and clear, now in colour, got everything you need, including a proper fuel gauge. I like it. If anything, it's maybe a little bit busy. The Yamaha now is laden with electronics, of which more later, but one of the features I actually quite like about Yamaha electronics is you can tailor them all. So it's got these riding modes, A, B and C, typically A being the most aggressive is the way I remember it. I've got this in mode B at the moment, and you can change the parameters with them to suit yourself. So at the moment I'm in mode B, look, power setting 2, traction control on 3, because it's quite a slippy day, as I say. And all that information is displayed on that TFT, so it's quite busy in that respect, although I quite like it. I find it clear enough to read. Hello, two-wheeled friends. Yeah, so it's alright, that TFT is what I'm saying. I quite like it. Not as good as a BMW, but way better than a Triumph. Guys waving me on, thank you, sir. Quick nip down here again. I don't want to go mad today because of this slippery road, but the bike feels lovely and light. Sounds great as well, this. They've done some tuning on the airbox apparently. I think probably for, you know, good technical reasons, but it's got the side benefit that it sounds good as well. And a lot of the noise you hear on the bike now is induction noise. You may not be hearing it much through the microphone because it is a relatively quiet bike. Necessarily to get through, you know, the Euro 5 regs, the exhaust itself is quite quiet, but the airbox is making some nice noises. It's satisfying. I don't think you'd need an aftermarket exhaust on this to enjoy the sound that the bike makes. Just coming up to a slightly faster stretch of road here. I don't know if I'm going to get the chance to open her up a little bit just to see what she sounds like. Let's drop her into first. Yeah, unfortunately the Fiesta's going the same way. We haven't got the chance to overtake though. Here we go. Sounds absolutely lovely. We'll just ease it off there. Very, very fast motorcycle this. I would say this is, for me at least, in the same league as the Ducati Street Fighter V4, the KTM Super Duke R. It doesn't have the same 200 brake horsepower plus that those bikes have. This, as I say, I think has about 164, something like that. But it feels plenty quick enough. And for riding on the roads, it's just, the engine on here is beautiful. Let's take a look at it now. Alright, here's that engine then, 998cc inline 4 with the Yamaha's now famous uneven firing cross-plane crank known as the CP4 engine. Derived, in fact it's pretty much the same engine as that in the R1. I suspect it's got a slightly different tune however. In terms of the numbers, 164 brake horsepower, 11,500 RPM, and maximum torque is 83 foot-pounds, which is a lot. That's at 9,000 RPM as well. So yeah, lovely engine, that lovely and smooth, sounds absolutely epic. Thanks mainly to that new airbox design. Okay, welcome back aboard the bike. Talk a little bit about the switchgear on here. It's quite complicated on the Yamaha. I do like the buttons that they have on here. They feel high quality. One thing it has got is a cruise control. So that's handy on a bike like this that you may well want to take touring on your biking holidays. And because it is now so laden with electronics, obviously you've got to control those. So you've got this up-down button here on the left handlebar that cycles you through the various options. The mode selection button is at the front here. And actually it is all actually quite intuitive. I've not read the manual for this bike and I've worked out how to change mode and get through the various settings. So I quite like the switchgear in terms of it's being logical to use, and it feels quite nice quality as well. On the right hand handlebar you've got this little whiz wheel, which I like. I like using a wheel rather than buttons to change menu options. That just works quite well for me. So you whiz that round with your thumb and you press it to select menu items, so that works well. So switchgear is good. Mirrors on here, I like the shape of them. I like the stubby little stalks. It does have the effect though that the view out of them isn't that great. I am looking at my shoulders and elbows quite a lot out of them, but you know, they work, they're not vibrating, that's absolutely fine. So yeah, the stuff you're looking at while you're riding is all very nice. The quick shifter on here is both up and down. Let's just come down a few cogs and up again. Yeah, it's lovely and smooth, the quick shifter on here. If you do need to use the clutch, occasionally you do have to. And the clutch on here is actually quite stiff, to be honest, but it's not, you know, not terribly so. We're not talking Harley Davidson stiff, but it's not Triumph light. Let's put it like that. But you ain't going to be using that too much anyway, because the quick shifter is very good. I don't know if you can actually adjust the quick shifter to alter the ignition timing changes when you use it, but when you go up and down on it, there is a little bit of a delay. Maybe it's not quite as fast changing as some other quick shifters I've used, but it's very nice. There's nothing wrong with it at all. Check behind, let's just try these brakes. Got a Brembo master cylinder on the front here, and that feels really nice, the brakes. Let's take a look at them. Here they are then, twin 320mm discs on the front, and you've got 4-pot calipers on there. The normal Yamaha ones, Yamaha tend to make their own brake calipers, it appears. Having said that, on the back, look, we've got a Nissin branded caliper, single pot caliper there, and that is on a 220mm rear disc. Just realised that I didn't actually test that back brake before we went to look at them. Let's just try that now. Yeah, back brake's okay, nothing special, but it's the usual back brake scenario on a motorcycle, so that's fine. So brake's pretty good on here. Nice bit of fill through them. I think that Brembo master cylinder actually makes quite a bit of difference. I've ridden a few bikes now fitted with that, and it does give you some nice feel back through the brakes. This is the standard bike I'm riding, as opposed to the SP version, which is the bike that I rode back in 2017. You can still get an SP version, it's a little bit more expensive, but that comes with Olin suspension, so if you're a bit of a biking god and can notice those differences, then maybe go for that one. A few more bragging rights down the pub as well, of course. But for me, the suspension on this is absolutely fine. It is adjustable, and as it comes out of the box, so to speak, it feels to me fine. If anything, It's in my, I haven't used this word for a while, in the Goldilocks zone. It's not too hard, it's not too soft. For my weight, I'm about 11 stone. It feels perfect. But again, it being adjustable, you can get it set up to suit exactly your weight if you want to. Here is that suspension. You've got 43mm upside down KYB forks on here, and the little adjusters on here are in gold and nice and blingy, so that looks good. Down the back end, quite hard to see, but we can just see in there, we've got the shock with, again, a little blingy adjuster there. Probably quite hard to get at, I'd imagine. But these powerful naked bikes are all about the handling, aren't they? And even though I can't push the bike today, and I'm not that sort of rider anyway, I think the handling on it feels absolutely beautiful. Partly because the bike is so light. Talking of which, the weight of this motorcycle, 212 kilograms wet. So that would put it in the sort of middle to light end, I would say, of the weight category. And as I say, it feels very light as well when you're riding it. I cannot believe how busy it is today out here on the roads. So far, you know, I loved the MT10 when I rode it originally, and I love it now. It's a really nice bike. You don't see many of them about on the road. I don't know why, because there's really nothing about it I don't like. This engine is superb, smooth, powerful, sounds lovely. It's a comfortable ride. Definitely I'd want some heated grips. I don't know if you can get those from Yamaha direct or whether you'd have to go after market, but that's not too much of a problem. From a wind protection point of view, it's all right. I'm not getting, you know, I've got clean air hitting me. I'm feeling quite protected low down. I'm not getting blasted around the legs or the torso. That's all good. There's really nothing about the bike that I don't like. I hate saying that on reviews. I guess the looks, not to my taste now. Maybe they'll grow on me over time as they did on the original bike and on the Ducati Street Fighter, but I can't, that's kind of the elephant in the room for me. The looks that they've done with that front light on here now, just not for me, which is a shame. But then again, I didn't think the looks on the original bike were for me, and over time it grew on me. But at the moment I'm thinking I still prefer the original bike. Are the changes a big step up from the original bike? Is it worth going out and spending your money on a brand new MT10 rather than buying, if you can find one, a good second-hand MT10? Well, to be honest, from my point of view, if you can find a good second-hand one, you might as well go for that, because this doesn't feel a whole lot different to what I remember from the other bike. But then that was 5-6 years ago when I rode it, as I say. So by all means, if you're interested in one of these bikes, of course, go and get your own test ride. Don't take my word for it. These reviews are just my opinion at the end of the day. I'm no expert on motorcycles, as it says in my small print at the start of the video. I'm just an enthusiastic amateur. It so happens I've ridden quite a few motorbikes now, and I know what I like and what I don't like. And I do like this one. It's comfortable, it's powerful, it's fun. It's pretty good value. You just got to get your head around the looks. So when I say it's a good value machine, what do I mean? Well, this standard bike comes in at £14,200. The SP version with the fancy Odin suspension, that's £16,000. I think that's good value when you do compare it to other bikes like, for example, the Ducati Street Fighter, which is well over 20 grand. Still expensive, but I think it's good value for this type of bike. These zigzag lines, by the way, in case you're not from the UK, mean you can't overtake. It's to protect that crossing. It's a Pelican crossing, lights are red, that lady's just walked across there. It means I can't overtake these vans at that crossing. Otherwise, of course, I would have nipped down there and got past my nemesis. Well, I was going to say the white van, but these are actually black vans for a change. Anyway, sometimes I have people ask me, what are those zigzags on the road there? That's what they're all about. Alright, what else is there to tell you about the spec? Oh, I know. Let's go through the electronics. So I said earlier on I'd talk more about the electronics on the bike. Unfortunately, because of the weather today, it being so sort of scuddy and slippery out of here, I haven't had a chance to properly push the bike to test them out. But it is laden with electronics now. This is one of the big changes for this latest version of the MT10. I've written them down for you so I don't forget anything. So it's now got a 6-axis IMU for traction control, slide control, cornering ABS, engine braking control, and anti-wheelie as well. It's got 4 power maps, riding modes that can be tailored or turned off entirely. We looked at those a bit earlier. It's got cruise control with a speed limiter, up and down quick shifter, and of course it now has that 4.2-inch TFT as well. So this bike, all the modern electronics you could want. I particularly like the fact it's got lean angle, sensitive ABS and traction control on here now as well. In terms of other bits of specification, what else do we need to cover off? Oh, there is one bit of specification I missed out or haven't mentioned yet, and that's the tank capacity on here. 17 litres out of this tank, and Yamaha say that it will get 41 miles per gallon out of it. And I think if I remember rightly, these do have a bit of a reputation for being a bit of a thirsty old beast, so bear that in mind. Okay, so welcome back aboard. We're now in beautiful Prince's Risborough, a little local market town, not too far from Great Bissenden. The sun is out. Thoroughly enjoying this ride on the MT10. And I'm glad to say, my reintroduction to it, after such a break, it's been a joyous one. It's a lovely bike to ride, it really is. If I were buying a Super Naked, for me at the moment, well, it would be between the Super Ducati, the Street Fighter V4 and this, and I'd really struggle to choose between them. From a pricing point of view, 100% it would be the Yamaha MT10. Excellent value for such a performant bike of this type. So there we are, that's my review of the new version of the MT10. Hope you enjoyed that. If you've not been to the channel before, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It'd be great to have you along. Don't just do bike reviews here on the Bissenden Flyer, but I do trips and tours at home and abroad, bits and pieces about looking after your bike in the garage, that sort of thing. Monthly bike news, basically anything and everything to do with motorcycles. I'll try and cover it here on the Bissenden Flyer. It'd be great to have you along. Right, where's this traffic going? I'll try and go somewhere else. Oh, let's head this way. Oh, that wasn't a good choice, was it? Anyway, that's it for now for this review. Hope you enjoyed that. Look forward to speaking to you again soon. Until then, this has been the Bissenden Flyer. Cheerio.